My name is Greg Ahmann, Ahmann, and I live at 1755 Atzerk Street.
Thank you.
And I'm a fairly new member of the community. I moved here about a year and a half ago, and I'm in the process of negotiating a contract to purchase a building on Main Street. And it is north of A, and it's the old Grange building. And I was wanting to see if you guys would consider rezoning or making amendments to the current zoning. And what we were looking at is that building's been sitting very low occupancy over the last 10 years. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why this guy wants to get rid of it. He's not putting a lot of money into it. And it's a little bit run down. It needs some TLC. And we would like to do that, including do a little facelift out front. And looking at the planters there, he has a few that aren't being mended or cared for very well. And we'd like to make that attractive. But one of the things that we're looking at while we're looking at this property is, you know, how do we make it work, and how do we get the numbers to work for us to purchase it. And so we walked through the whole building looking at the current occupancy. They pay very little, the folks that are in there. There's a couple of vacancies in the front, the business area, and we'd like to bring some business in there. We'd like to spruce it up. And in fact, one of the other businesses that's there isn't really conducive to a business. It's a daycare that's in the front, which we would like to try to change that and get more professional business in there. So we'd like to make it attractive for that, and one of the ways that we looked at making it attractive and making it affordable is to get some occupancy in there that would be residential. Right now there's currently one in there, and there's an area adjacent to that current residential apartment that has a kitchen, bathroom, and a layout for another apartment. Unfortunately, apparently it's not allowed because it's motor business. So it's being used currently as a storage room for, I don't know, about a couple thousand books, I guess, and very low rent space because of that. It's in a dark, unlit area in the backside of the building, on the backside of business space. And what we were thinking, my partner's my sister who was sitting in here earlier, is if we can get that rezoned or a variance for that and have a couple more residents in there, then that would allow us to keep the price of the square footage down and reasonable for new businesses, to attract them to the community, to enhance growth in the main business corridor here in Moscow. And I've worked with my father-in-law for about 15 years, and he's a commercial property owner and manager. And he's just kind of showed me some of these things to kind of look at. And I really like this location. I like the building. I think it's an attractive building as far as the brick. The rest of the fascia needs a little bit of TLC, but I think that could really enhance the entry into Moscow, create some growth, and it's already set up for it. So I'm just asking to continue that, and to the south, obviously you've seen that they already have that, and to the north, Anytime Fitness has that. So I would just like to put that out there, and we do want to, once again, I mean, where you're, as far as a businessman, where I would make the most money is from a business coming in there and renting business space. So we're not looking to change that. What we're looking for is how can we, keep that square footage price down and attract new businesses, and obviously even new businesses need a low overhead. So if we could attract them with a low square footage price, we could bring new businesses into Moscow. So, is there any questions?
Is this another one that is within the 10-foot setback or not? Just trying to remember.
Yes, it's right out on the road.
That's what I thought.
And It's an attractive brick building,
Yeah.
except for the wood fascia that's on the carport. And we do have our own off-street parking. I think there's 30-some stalls,
Yeah, there's good
which
parking on the
is
site.
fantastic for this complex. And I talked to the church, Impact Church is in there, and they have some 60 members, and they said that the times that they have high use, they don't have any problems with parking. It's just sufficient parking there, and then there's a parking lot or two around the area that they're able to use. So we don't see any foreseen problems with parking.
So the two things that are kind of on the table here would be to make, obviously, a process, us making some recommendations, council saying yes, that looks like it's interesting, us then actually drafting an ordinance, going through here, and it marches back up to council again. So it's not a quick
Yeah,
deal.
right.
It'll be a while.
But the two ideas, allowing this reduced setback, so right now you're already encroaching on the current required setback, and allowing the residential use above and behind, which seemed to be what you were describing.
Unfortunately, in this case, it's not above, it's just behind. It's a kind of an odd
It'd be
building.
above or behind, either one.
Yeah, okay, I see, either or.
Is to not be on the
Right, we wouldn't want that.
street level front facade, so above.
And I'm in agreement with that. And I'm just encouraging you to move forward with this. I like this idea. As a new businessman and new to Moscow, I brought my family here. I got 5 kids, 4 of them are with us. And one of the reasons we moved here is because it's a smaller town, more family-oriented and friendly, with a lot of activity, and 4 of my kids for advancement. And so I just jumped right into being a new businessman, and I just appreciate that you guys listen to me. I appreciate that you guys have good dialogue here. And really, I think that that's a key. My father-in-law owns, with his partner, he owns about 100,000 square feet of commercial property. He's got about 30 tenants, and I managed those leases in that property for over 12 years. But one of the things I learned from him is really the relationship with your tenant, taking care of them. But also he kept his rates at a rate that was lower than any other commercial people, and this is in the Yakima city, Yakima, Washington. And he kept his rates low enough that he had the most occupancy of all the other people around. And I think that, because of that, we had a lot of businesses that came from other areas into our complex, which brought businesses into town. There's wholesale florists, there's Fastenal was in there. There's just a whole diverse amount of different people. Balfour Construction's in there, they're a huge reconstruction business. But I think that they chose our complex because of its proximity to town over there, and then also the price was kept low, and so he had occupancy that was probably over 90% in the time that I managed for him. So we hope to do that here.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing a perspective, and I'm sorry that you spent as long as you did.
No,
You
I really
longer
enjoyed
than my
it.
students.
I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, learned how this works. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice